Thinking about the next hurricane? Wondering if we flooding again in Pinewood, Nassau Village, and all them low-lying spots? Pause. Think about it with intentional thought and consider where we go from here. If the foundation flooding out, how we expect to build $100 billion economy we talking about? Today, we look at real solutions built by a real Bahamian innovator who understands service, survival, and the struggle. We dive in deep into how flood protection ain't just a product, it's a promise to protect the people and the progress we working hard for.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. What we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative, 242.
Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. You're all over the 242, around the world, in Ghana and up there in France and around there by Spain. I even hear some people down there in Venezuela and Trinidad was talking the other day. And actually one guy even mentioned to me today, I don't know where he's from, whilst I was at the Canto Farm conference. And I'm like, boy, word getting around. But welcome, Jamaal. How are you today?
Dale Happy Knowles, I'm well. Wonderful. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great. Now, you're one of them butlers who we know, who believe that because they've been the second thing, that, they got everything down packed. But you all are the butlers with plenty excellence, and I tip my hat to you all, that you all don't do nothing half-stepping, your crew, brothers and stuff. Your dados and stuff, and so you come from good pedigree, good stock. So yeah, I've been from QC, you see, so I gotta give you a little bigger, but not too much, because before your run, now we was on top of that. Yeah, but today, we have Jamaal Butler, as I mentioned. He's a Foxillian native, I think. He went to SAC, as I mentioned. And that's the big red machine, those who powerful in sports. Then I'm sure they're expanding as they go. But he's a former all-track star who took his discipline from the field to the frontiers of flood defense. With a background in luxury hospitality and property management, Jamaal now leads Speedy Flood Solutions, delivering custom-fit lightweight flood barriers designed to protect Bahamian homes, communities, and futures from climate risks. We ain't just talking solutions. He talking about them. So Jamaal, let's dive into this a little bit, right? Find the first question I want to put up. You got this quote here. Yeah, that one. So, in reading on your stuff and everything, I came up with this to do, which I think aptly speaks to where we are, which is you can't build the future on soggy ground. Resilience ain't extra. It's the foundation. So I got a couple of questions for you on that. Right, and the first one is, when we're talking about resilience as the foundation, what are some of the invisible cracks we're ignoring today that could break up the future tomorrow?
Well, fortunately, a lot of those cracks aren't invisible anymore. A lot has come to light, a lot more flooding. The intensity of storms, the intensity of the disasters happening, the exposures of the disasters happening all around the world, especially right here in the Bahamas, have intensified, have increased. Flooding, particularly, if it was once in just Yamacoa, it's not only there. If it was once in just Pinewood, it's not there now. It's It's in the north, it's in the east, the west, the south, central Nassau. And so what we have done is ignored what has been happening and what has been progressing to become worse. And I think we need to try and take some steps now to fix those things or to bring to light some of those cracks so that we can have a future for tomorrow.
Yeah, one of them that people see every day, but they don't really, a lot of people don't really appreciate that. And that's those sidewalks through the bush, right?
That's
they doing all kind of stuff to do.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, that's one of the cracks. Obviously, we have seen, the intensity of the storms, Dorian, and the frequency of the storms, and how they are popping up, and the development of the storms. They are intensifying rapidly. Those are some of the invisible cracks that we haven't seen. We're not taking real eyesight to. The trend of the way the hurricanes and the storms are moving now. They're coming from the east and they're coming from the west. And so there's a lot to pay attention to with hurricanes and flooding and these disasters.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't come from the south. I think that's the ones would be the most dangerous for this little Nassau in particular and so forth.
They can be dangerous whichever way they come from.
No, I know, but I mean, I'm just thinking from a flooding point of view, if a storm come from the south and bring all that water on from south over the hill, up to the hill, that could be catastrophe for Nassau.
Could be. Yes.
Yeah. At least we have a higher ridge on the north side. Yeah.
We do have a higher ridge on the north side, but we also have deeper water on the north sides as well. And so the height of those surges will be even more than they would be side. So it's a given. We just hope for the best, and we want to be prepared in all instances.
Yeah, but I believe in prayer, so I keep saying prayers every time hurricane season and beyond become. So if resilience ain't extra, what's your message to leaders, developers, and home owners who still treating protection like it's optional upgrade?
The best thing I can relate to would be Dorian. If we didn't see what Dorian did, obviously Dorian was much different. It was definitely a catastrophic storm. It sat over the islands for some time, something that hurricanes don't usually do. And so obviously we have to prepare. I see a lot of persons, a lot of natives, a lot of businesses, establishments taking measures to protect their businesses, at least to some extent, with aluminum panels, those roll-down resistant panels that they have. Right. Some persons are taking the necessary steps. Obviously, I see some governments, they provide sandbags in different areas so that they can, help communities and persons in communities to some extent.
Right.
So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
When.
And so we want to be prepared for every disaster.
Cool. So let's switch a little bit and start talking a little bit about you and your journey and so forth. And so I thought to touch on it when we was doing the intro, but who is behind the title of Jamaal Butler? You got your journey from, I guess, is it right Fox Hill, or you just passed through Fox Hill, then you gone through Xavier and Nassau and off the university, etc.? How did these things affect that foundation that you developed? Yeah.
I was born, obviously, in Nassau. I did live a lot of years, spent a lot of my years living in Fox Hill. I still reside. I went to Xavier's, yes. Then to SAC. Obviously, after there, I went to college, university, Texas Tech University. I ran track and field. I got my degree in hospitality. specifically the RIM program, which is Restaurant, Hotel, and Institutional Management. And from there, I made my way into property management, working through hotels, started my hospitality career, worked at Atlantis, worked at many different venues, obviously Ocean Club, the Embassy Suites, the Overton Hotel in the United States, wide range of hotels, boutique hotels. And what transpired is I was working one and only Ocean Club in 2017, and a hurricane came through and it closed the hotel for an unexpected period. It was a bad time for me. Obviously, it was a bad time for many Bahamians. I was sure when I was going to be back in work again. The hotel decided that it needed to close down to do some renovations and obviously fix the damages, figure out how they can work with the damages that they have, bring staff back on. So it got me thinking, what can I do? I tried startups throughout my career. And when Ocean Club closed down, I think at that time it was probably, my best employment at the time. It reflects.
And folks, that's a top-notch hotel resort at that point. That's like tier 1 or 2. Yeah.
I was a butler at that point, obviously, still building hospitality and working in a boutique hotel like that, obviously a luxury hotel. And so I was enjoying that. I was enjoying my hospitality career. And when the hotel closed down, it came to like a stop. Okay, what to do now?
Right.
Why? How can I be out of employment again? I don't want to see this happening. And I also want to protect my country. I want to protect my area. My aunts, their houses flooded out at the time. I still remember them going to about 5 years before they were able to move back into their houses. Wow. So it was a lot that I saw, and I reflected and I decided, there's something that needs to be done, something that we have to try, something that we can do to help our citizens. And I got to researching, I got to studying. I placed myself in schools to become a disaster risk expert. And I studied disaster management. I learned, I developed myself in those areas. And I brought forward different proposals. I brought forward different ideas, different solutions, different theories on how we can work together to fix this. And since then, I've just been all in and trying to help the flooding situation, the flooding issue that we have here in the country.
Good. We tip our hat for you because there's a lot of people who be complaining, but they're not doing anything to try and help. And you right here putting it in motion, your desire and drive, etc. to get things done. So you reached the world stage in athletics and hospitality. What mindset carried across both that enabled your excellence?
Discipline, dedication, and determination is 3 things that I lived by. It's 3 things that I instilled in myself. And that's what I use to drive me, self-motivation, to help me to go as an athlete, to have those things. Discipline definitely is one of those things that you want to carry as a person. You want to be dedicated to what it is, and you have to be determined to see things through to the end. You have to be determined to finish, start sometimes, and you have to be determined to make it through when things get tough. So I use those 3 things to carry me through and help me with my excellence today.
Right. That's great stuff there, right? Because, everybody could do that. Not everybody does it, but there's no excuse why people can't do those 3 Ds. It's just a choice. I haven't been an athlete myself, or at least an athlete. Yeah, cool. All right, so what made you pivot? You talk about that somewhat already, from luxury service to disaster, but was there a moment that triggered the shift that you mentioned? So once you did the shift, how did that make you feel?
this is what I'm going to do now. You know, as I started more research, as I dived into it, as I started learning, I developed almost a passion for it.
Okay.
When I look around and I see what's happening, Pinewood, person's always complaining. Not even complaining. They actually going through stuff. They're reaching out. They're looking for support. They're looking
Right.
and so when I see that, you know, it triggers me to continue to do what I'm doing and to try to bring some support and some relief to those persons in those areas. It's constant. It's
Right.
getting worse, and we need to try and do something more to help all of them.
Right. So flooding ain't new, right? We've had flooding for years, but your solution is new, basically. So let's break down the simple on that, right? What is Speedy Flood Solutions, and why does it matter for Pinewood, Nassau Village, and the many names that you call already and more?
Speedy Flood Solutions is a disaster management company. What we do is we provide solutions, actions, plans, products, and services, consultation as well, to assist various persons, businesses who are in disaster risk areas, particularly flooding and hurricane need. We have, like I say, products that we can put out. We have teams of engineers, architects that can help with design. We have services, software, topography we can use to help with all the mitigation efforts that we have. And we work with manufacturers to produce these tubes, to produce these barriers. And we are the exclusive partners of these companies based in the United States to have these products here within this region. And we just out here on, I'd say, just about every platform that we can be on to let persons know that we are here to help. If you have any flooding concerns, that they can call us. If you have any queries, we are here to help.
All right. So you gear up, you got your team, your boots on the ground. So then, how does your system compare to old methods like sandbags or steel barriers, and why should people trust it today?
We have a few products in our system. We have flood barriers, water inflatable barriers, custom fitted barriers. We have different type of barriers that can fit different needs, different areas, whatever your flooding risk may be. That you see here, those tubes can be used for, like I say, many different reasons: coastal protection, water holding reservoirs. They can be for hazmat and contaminants, containments. There's a lot of different uses for those. It's good technology. They went through the most stringent of tests. The FM approved, the AON approved. Those companies provide data, information, and the best solutions. They rate them based on the tests that they go through. They've been developed by the U.S. Court of Armies. Like I said, engineers from around the states developed these things. They've been used for quite some time. They've been used since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And they're being used all over the world now. They are more environmentally friendly than sandbags. They cost a third of the price of sandbags. And they're definitely usable for a much longer period than sandbags.
Yes, and more durable, etc.
The steel barriers, how we compare to those, for one, we have custom made. It's lightweight, obviously. For that protection, what we have, it's lightweight. Like I say, cost effective. Um, in terms of damage, it can withstand up to 13,000 pounds of pressure.
Wow.
We've run 700, 600-pound logs into them after consistent 2 weeks of use, and still no damage has been done. And they've been put to the test then, and they won't be stolen. You know, steel, metal, these barriers that they have now, a lot of persons steal them and use them for scrap metal. A lot of and then they become ineffective. Our products don't do those sort of things. They last. They have lifetime guarantees on them, and they've been approved by the most stringent of tests all across the United States. Approved in the UK where they are used in India, used in Japan. So what we are bringing is just not something that's being used in one place, but governments all around. It's actually the number one used government flood barrier in the world. And so governments all around the world are using this product to help with flash floods, river containment, like you would see disasters happening in Texas today. But governments are using these stuff all over the world right now to protect their citizens in whichever way possible.
Cool. So when we look at an install then, so this is an example. So talk us through this.
So what you see here is a fiber optic station in Daytona, Florida. It's being protected because it's nearby to a lake that experienced surge. But this also powers a lot of the nearby city. And if this is obviously affected by the water, a lot of the city would be without power. If it comes up and no one is able to get to it to assist it or to bring some sort of service to it, then it even withholds the power out for a longer period of time. So we install this around this station to protect that and also to allow access in the event it does flood out or gets to that point. And this is protecting one part of the city in a major way.
Yeah. So tell people like the sizes of the tubes. Give us a little bit of specifications on those.
All right. So these tubes, they come a few different sizes. We have the 18-inch, we have 24-inch, we have 36 and the 42-inch. 42-inch would be the super dam. The length of the tubes are 50 feet. And they are put together seamlessly. So we can extend this like you see here. This was about 300 feet. We put together just to protect this fiber optic station. We've run this for miles, protecting coastlines, protecting rivers, communities nearby rivers that experience surge and flash floods. And this is just another example of us protecting it here. So we can protect these tubes. They can come in stackable forms up to 32 feet. They can still withstand up to 13,000 pounds of pressure. And they are filled with water. So we use water to fight water. We then strap, anchor them down into the surface to help with that resilience. And if you don't want to build it up to 32 feet, if you only need one tube, you can have that. If you only need 300 feet, you can only have, you only need 300 feet or whichever you're building or whatever it is you may be protecting. Other than that, we can protect coastlines for miles.
Wow. Then that's this could be, I don't want to say a rainmaker, but this could be a game changer for some areas.
A lot of areas. It's just been recently, every county in the state of Florida has recently just signed on to getting barriers and tubes for all of their areas so they can protect government buildings, coastlines, shorelines, whichever home areas or by canals that experience hospitals that may be by nearby lakes and stuff, or coastlines that may experience flooding. They've all taken the next step to do something to help those communities.
Well, once Florida, whether it's in Miami or Florida, anyway, once Florida sign on to some, Bahamians, that's their first home, because a lot of Bahamians build Florida, or South Florida in particular,
Yeah.
Miami area. So once they sign on, then we tend to trust it, and so that was the second part of the question. So that alone, besides the specifications that you highlighted, just the mere fact that Florida is every county, not just some counties, every county, has signed on the system. That tells me that they've already kicked the can, the tires, the wheels, the hubcaps, make sure everything happening right on it. And so, there ain't nothing, no fast or no scam job here or whatever going on.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. And it's all over the media. You can see this being used, and I mean CNN had, MSNBC, all of the top stations, or the most known stations in the United States, would have had some snippet of this being used by hospitals or government buildings or coastlines, hotels, Walmarts. It's being used all over. In Louisiana, where Hurricane Katrina, in New Orleans, where Hurricane Katrina was,
Right.
they used a lot of these tubes there afterwards, along with a lot of other mitigation efforts. But that's one of the reasons why you don't see or hear about a lot of flooding going on in New Orleans anymore.
Okay.
Effort took there to use to build more dams. The dams obviously were outdated; they broke away, and so they used these. We can build dams with these. Protect a lot of areas. We can help to keep open roads, runways open in the time of needs during hurricanes, so supplies can land.
Right.
It's just the effort and the resources we put forward to help and to try to fight these disasters. Flooding, obviously.
Off the top, then, Grand Bahama is a prime pilot for hurricane tests, the Grand Bahama Airport, because that's one of the quickest things to start flooding around. Cool.
Yeah.
So, can a working class family with a single story home actually afford and deploy your system?
A working class family with a single story home, they can afford it. I know it's tough. I know affording insurance for home. I know a home in general is tough.
Okay.
And to protect. But these tubes aren't, like I say, the only barriers that we have. We have other custom fitted barriers that you can protect just for your door, just for your window if you want. And so it can, in terms of cost effectiveness versus sandbags, like I say, you have this tube, you can use it for a while, or if you have any of our barriers that are custom made for your door, you can use them. They have the lifetime guarantee. Sandbag, place them every year. I think about a sandbag right now is maybe $9. To get 2 feet of that at 50 feet.
Wow.
And then
I'm quick.
Get quick, and then to replace it again every year, to find the sandbags, to go out and get them. It adds up over the years, and then you know every time there's a flooding, you're gonna want your sandbag. But if you have your barriers in place, every time there's a flooding, you can install them. These are quick deploying solutions that we have. So you can deploy them quickly once you know that there's a hurricane or expected flooding, and you get them. A lot of homeowners have actually started to invest. Like I say, they a lot of them have gone with the aluminum roll down shutters. I've heard that water still gets underneath them. Obviously the aluminum, so in terms of damage, wind damage, if an object was to fly into one, they would dent and then pretty much be obsolete, because then now water would still come into your building. So in cost effectiveness, there's a lot that can be compared to say that what we offer is definitely affordable for your home.
Cool. Now, did I miss one? Bam, right there, boom. So, the elevator pits, the generators. What kind of properties or equipment have you already protected that people might be able to go and see here in Nassau or even on different islands?
So what we have here would be our custom fabricated protectors. Obviously, with our partners, we can protect generators, flood drains, manholes, whatever needed. And we use this custom fabricated material made up of foam and Kevlar. And it's super strong, super lightweight, different from steel, different from metal. And it's custom made for whatever it is that you want to get protected. I have examples here in our store that I can show you. But we have them stored. Persons only, use them when they're getting an alarm of a hurricane or something. So they pull them deployment. Other than that, they would have them stored away. But I can get you some examples of that. But what they do, they made specifically for your door or for whichever entrance is at flood risk. Elevators, elevator pits, in high-rise hotels and basements, car parking garages. Most of the flood waters would fall down and drain into there. And so we can protect those elevators, hotel elevators, wherever there is elevators to the bottom of the buildings. And so they are most susceptible to that flooding just being down on the ground floor. We protect generators because they're in areas where they can be at flood risk, and persons need to protect them. They're not going to be home, or they're not going to be by the business establishment, but they see we protect those as well. And so it's a lot of different customizable fits that we can make for whatever it is that you need protected. If you need something on your roof protected, you having problems, we go ahead and we can put that barrier there as well. So just different, whatever it is you need protected, we can protect it.
Cool. So folks, we here watching Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles, and we have Jamaal Butler on the show, and he's walking us through why his solution of Speedy Flood Solutions is something that you should really, really strongly consider. If not, already jump up and down to go run out and call him. So, he's going to share his business contact so that you could know where to go and so forth. So, but if you have a question, a concern, or comment on these things, do share it in the comments, and we will endeavor to answer as many as we can. Within reason, that please be respectful in how we ask the questions and what happened in the past, right? So, and talking about the past, then we appreciate all of the work that has gone into creating the disaster recovery authority, as I call it, and from going from NEMA to and everything else into that. And they're doing a wonderful job, but they have limits, right? And so we shouldn't just wait for them to rescue us. We need to protect ourselves as much as we can before, which would be good. So in the States, they have what they call the Federal Emergency Management Association. And so over there, their numbers, if I'm correct, Jamaal is saying that 1 inch in flooding can cost about $25,000. So I assume we need to add a multiplier to the Bahamas because everything costs more here. So what would your message to Bahamians talking about wait and see be when we could put the numbers on it as to what losses could be?
Yeah, this is a very important quote here by FEMA. 1 inch of floodwater can cost $25,000 in damages. I think the country is still I think the damages that we experience from Dorian, obviously we're going to be still paying off and still facing for many years to come. That was in the billions. Obviously, some 20 billion in damages was sustained in Nassau alone, some 40 billion across. I mean, in Freeport and Abaco alone, some 40 million across Nassau.
Wow.
what has happened is once the rain settles, you have your rug, you have anything that's on the ground. We already low lying. You have circuits, they obviously aren't built to the ground, but we have houses that just reside really, really low. And so 1 inch of flood water, that's the downpour. Okay.
Right.
So 1 inch of flood water, if we get 1 inch of flood water in 1 day, in 1 hour, Nassau would pretty much be underwater. That's how serious the flood water is. Okay. And you can imagine getting that to your house.
No, I don't want to imagine that.
We don't want to imagine that either.
No.
So with that, our damages can multiply. Persons obviously lose their fridge, they lose whichever appliances. Those are the first sort of things that they would lose. Obviously, if they have any carpets inside their houses, they'd lose that. Tiles. And then what happens is you have residue that backs up in the end. If the flood waters stay there and sit, you have environmental hazards, you have mold that's then starting to come. So it's a lot of expense that further add up, and this is how it can get very expensive. You have to then clean up the area, sanitize the area afterwards. It's a lot that can happen really quick. The expenses can go up pretty quickly with just the flood water.
Go ahead.
The wait and see approach is, like I said, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And so I'd rather be protected from 1 inch of flood water. That's like saying we can put up a 10-foot barrier. A 10-foot barrier we put up. The surge is 7 feet. At least we save 10 feet of surge. And just the extra 1 foot of water overflow.
Right.
So those things, it can really add up really quickly with the amount of water in terms of damage sustained.
Yeah. So I said I don't want to imagine it. Not that I'm being insensitive with people who go through flooding and stuff and so forth. But I just went through renovating, which I thought was going to be like a couple of minor cracks and 2 walls with some major cracks. And I guess as they crack and start fixing, they check. And we end up going almost a month of fixing stuff, which I thought was going to be 2 weeks. So being in a place all disoriented for that period of time was driving me crazy. So I could imagine the people who, like the ones who lost their house in the fire in Coral Harbor the other day, flooding and can't get back in the house because of all of the health issues and stuff that goes on with flooding and so forth and so forth. And that's just a massive disruption to people's lives. So there got to be a price to that, right? That people would want to sacrifice and put in some protective system.
And like you said, time is very important in this. Is because even business establishments, after flooding, they want to reopen as soon as possible. The businesses can't reopen because of the flood waters lingering. That's going to hurt them. It will ultimately hurt the economy. If you build a new building or build a new airport and then it floods out again with no sort of protection in place to spare some of it or to spare all of it, then you're right back to square one. And so your damages are continuing to increase, and that puts a lingering effect on the economy. So the time it takes afterwards also helps rack up that cost. Trying to fix yourself and fix the home afterwards.
Right.
The longer you do it, obviously, material, labor costs is going to get more expensive. And so this is more ways how it adds up. You mentioned there fighting fires is something that we can assist with well. We are able to mitigate water using these tubes.
Okay.
Where fire trucks can't get per se. I can fold up a tube. I can roll up a 50-foot tube. That 50-foot tube is 50 pounds without water. It can hold up to 1,500 gallons of water, the size bigger than some of our fire trucks. And I can take that area and push water from any nearby water source, fill it up, and then extend that to whichever area needs to fight the fire. So it's
Right.
a space that we can use these after it's, the tube is filled with water, it's 10,000 pounds. With no water, it's 50 pounds. I can put that on my back and walk where I have to go, lay it out, inflate it with water, and then push water, gate water. We can put these tubes on different islands where water is an issue, fresh water. We can put fresh water as a holding source, just a temporary holding source, on construction sites where they need water, on construction sites where they're protecting the construction from water stopping their efforts. Sometimes it rain, they have to stop because the area is flooding and they're just now in the development stage. And so it's a lot of different appliances that we can use that we are here to help with at Speedy Flood Solutions.
Cool. So we have some question here which says that from Emily Lockhart says, what is the life of these flood barriers?
The life expectancy on our tubes, they can last up to 20 years whilst being used. That's with the sun on them, whilst water is in them, and whilst they are out their storage.
The elements.
Yeah, they're out in the elements. Custom-made barriers for the doors, what we call the panels, our flood panels, they are a lifetime guarantee on those. So you have them for life. They work for life. They will be there.
Awesome. And thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back here. Where was I? We were about to talk about the drones. Yeah. So you use some drone-based mapping, etc. And so how does that tech help everyday folks make smarter decisions?
Well, first of all, this is a very, very technical software. We use it for most of our assessments, if need be. But with this LiDAR mapping, we are able to tell the flow of water, the depth of water, the height of the surge, how deep or how much flooding would come to a particular area in the event of a category, any category from 1 to 5. They actually have category 6 for hurricanes now. So we would be able to determine pretty much your topography, your area, and show you just what sort of flood risk you are at by using. So and let them know, well, if a hurricane was to come from the southeast part of the island and you're located here, if this is a category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hurricane, with this expected surge, I can tell you how much water you would probably be looking at.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask. So you could even use it as a planning tool of sorts, so they could help people understand what they need to put aside in order to build a proper resilient. Because if you look at some flooding in areas and then do the assessment, then the next time you could say, okay, well, this was what the rate of flow was, blah, 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 blah. And so this would require this solution design, which you could put a price on, and we could go from there.
Yeah, well, this is a much bigger topic that we can delve into, maybe on another cast. But right now, I think this is something that should be provided to all homeowners. It's something that's being provided in the States. It's something that's being provided in different countries around the world. Homeowners know what their flood map or their flooding area should look like when they're about to build. Realtors may not concern themselves much with this, but person should know what they should expect when buying. They should know that if they're in this area, that you would be susceptible to this amount of flooding, and they should be privy to this stuff prior to building. If you have an apartment, prior to having tenants move in, this is something they should be aware of. It's a lot of things that we can use this for. Fighting disasters, and within this management company, Speedy Flood Solutions, it's about making action plans. It's about having a plan down. You always need some plan of action for when disaster strikes. And so using this technology would help us know how we can pivot, how we can apply our tubes, how we can apply our barriers, using our team of experts to strategically mitigate whatever flooding it is.
Yeah. Cool. So I mean that's big right there, because I mean preparation, right? That's when the preparation and opportunity meet, then we have success, right? And so forth. So can your service lower insurance premiums or help people qualify for better coverage? Talk about the saving side, because I know in the States there's different, and not just the States, but different places in the world, they have programs that work towards help people reduce their costs. And I'm sure we could do it here if we have the right momentum.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's in place already, but you could comment on that.
Yeah, they have those NFIP's National Flood Insurance Programs that a lot of the states take a part in. I know they have individual states obviously have their own, but right in Florida, they have one, and all homeowners, all persons within those flood risk areas are actually able to apply for this and be privy to these premiums. Insurances. A lot of persons right now within Nassau, the Bahamas, they have insurance. A lot of the insurances don't cover flooding. Those who cover flooding are very expensive, or and then we get into talking about the cost again.
Right.
And so persons just can't afford it. Those who do have, all homes should be insured though.
Isn't it the law? I'm thinking.
It is the law. So again, we are faced with a lot of things that we would need to look at a large scale, how we can start helping different insurance companies and persons with this, and even the premiums that they would get back, or after they apply for the insurance, the deduction. Right. It's not.
But that deduction don't necessarily mean that's a lower income for them, because the volume might go up because they get a deduction. You get more people who want to get the insurance.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah. Happens. And so what's happening nowadays is a lot of insurances are requiring these buildings, these establishments to have flood protection in place, so that they can know that at least they have some sort of measures in place to help the insurance companies, almost work together, so that y'all are paying. We still provide insurance, but we will help you out because we see that you are trying to help yourself.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. Well, one day I'll be able to get my insurance reduced down to zero.
Yeah.
Well, so what role, what role does mock development and training? Is this just a product or a full mindset shift?
The role of mock deployment as training is definitely a full mindset shift. We spoke about being prepared already. I think when we have disasters, a few points we have to look at: the preparation, the mitigation, the recovery. It's different things that we would look at. And in terms of being prepared, we have to engage persons. We have to engage our team. We have to make sure that persons are always prepared, just like a firefighter would. The police, they always have their responsibility is they always have an action plan. And so periodically throughout the year, we would do mock deployments to make sure that all of our persons or any individuals, any businesses using our apparatus, they are instructed, they are trained on how to use them consistently, so that when something happens, it's not just a drill. It's the actual thing. They can deploy swiftly, efficiently, and make it happen.
Cool. All right, so as we move on to from resilience to prosperity, because the whole idea is for us to be putting ourselves in a position to be more prosperous as we move from strength to strength. and trying to align with the new built environment, etc., and all those goodies. And so your product here, to me, should be able to do that. So when we look at this, we say, what does resilience mean to you? Not as a buzzword, but as a Bahamian survival skill.
Resilience means being, yeah, I'm still there. Resilience for me starts on the preparedness. You prepare, you spread the word about how you can survive, what actions, what measures need to be in place in order for that, and being ready for whichever disaster is about to be upon us. And so, to me, building a resilient country, having tools available, having resources available, having help available, disaster management companies available to respond when disaster is upon us, is resilience to me. Having these efforts and not only having them in place, but being ready to use them and using them when the time comes. That shows that you are helping not only now, but for the future. It shows that you are careful of the economy because you know what the disaster can do to any economy. And it's something that we all should prepare for. We live on an island. We should all know how to swim. We know that we're going to expect flooding. We should all be prepared for flooding at some point. And that's, to me, that's being resilient, making sure that we are prepared to be able to have some fight to put up.
You know, I laugh because I saw some people on the beach today, and they had like 3 children, probably under 5 or thereabouts. One was a little ways off, and they're all on the brink of the water, you know, where it'll be splashing and stuff. And people, we think that that's safe, but there's only 2 adults. And so one of the children started to run the opposite direction from the one which was a little ways off. And I was just thinking, what if that child, either one, was to fall over? What was going to happen? How are they going to run for, 2 people was going to run for 3 children? Which one they would choose if they didn't panic? You know, considering, I don't want to say porkiness, but our solidness. That's the word I'm looking for. Our solidness. You know, we solid. Like KB is talking about that in the song, right? Yeah. So, I mean, you say preparation. All these things we need to be mindful of as we move these things from strength to strength. Yeah. So, do you see your work as part of materializing the new built environment? Now, let's see if we could pull up what the new built environment mean. Right, yeah. So basically what it is we're saying that we want to do things intentionally to be able to create this environment which will end up being sustainable of our culture and our ways and our quality of life and all that kind of stuff, whilst also raising it to higher levels, but not dropping it, you know, for generations to come, not just this generation. Because in this world today, we seem to only be focusing on ourselves. Nobody really care about, I mean, there are people who care about it, but as a group, as a nation, we don't seem to have that vibe that we're doing things for everybody. I mean, the government might be doing it or pushing towards those things. But when we have the chatter around things, whether it's this one or that one or whoever it is in power, it don't give you the confidence that we're doing it as a group. So what's your take on the materializing of this sustainable environment, using your products, etc.?
Using this environment, I think and using the products, I think it's very sustainable. We need to use all resources when we are faced with any situation. You would want to check in with, get as much advice, have as much available resources on the ground to be able to assist. And that's done through intentional thought and action. We have to have stuff available, have a team ready, have persons ready to deploy, have something ready to deploy to help us when there's an emergency with a criminal mind. We have the police ready to deploy. If there's a fire, we have the fires ready, fire trucks
Right.
ready to deploy. And so if we have a disaster, we need to have something to deploy. And so that's where the intentional thought and action for me lies. It's having these tools available as a part of the toolkit
Mm-hmm.
for the country to use um, to sustain what we can, to be resilient best we can. And this is just the start of it. I'm sure
Right.
there would be a lot more efforts put forward. I'm sure there would be a lot more persons who are going to reach out, and there's going to be tons of support. We got tons of support after Dorian. Obviously, that was, a tragic disaster. But I think that alerted a lot of persons that there needs to be not only thought, but intentional thought and
Mm-hmm.
action. Um, with these apparatus that we have, I think we can get that prepared. I think we would help to lead us towards sustainability and
Mm-hmm.
help to move us from strength to strength for the generations to come.
Cool. So, and then when we look at the pillars that something to think about, the saying will help build that. Talking about sun, sand, sea, people, and digital. And sun, sand, and sea isn't the traditional sun, sand, and sea what we use for tourism, but light industries and renewable energies, etc. So forth, even bush medicines from the sand and other richness things happening. Sea, the shark safari, mangroves, preservation, sustainable flats. You are talking about the flats and who coming in to take advantage of those industries, and the Bahamians not really benefiting. And these is our resources, as we look at that. So as we look at that question, the question is, and how does it support the $100 billion economy? You mentioned the $25,000 for 1 inch. What is a realistic guesstimation? Because I didn't give you a chance to calculate this on as to what you think based on the Hurricane Dorian. If we had something that could protect some of the areas that we might have been able to save, to put towards development versus being lost in the wash.
We had the Rand Hotel, obviously, in Freeport that experienced tremendous flooding. The airport definitely went underwater there. A lot of homeowners, hospitals. What happens is the persons can't recover. The individuals can't recover. The economy doesn't recover quickly enough. And so what happens is we experience this tremendous deficit, this tremendous loss, this tremendous billions amount of dollars in damages. And tourism is affected because, first of all, we need to clean up the island. Second, planes or no cruise ships really passing whilst the hurricane is here. None of the banks or business establishments will be open. If they are open, persons aren't coming to work because you have homeowners, locals who are affected, the roads are flooded. So what happens is a large buildup of damage in terms of money. And so what we try to do is put these things in place. So we go to build a new airport. This is hypothetically speaking. We go to a new airport in Freeport or wherever they're building the airports across the country. I think this government has been building some airports. And if we have these stuff in place, at least if another disaster strikes, we'll have some protection. So we just don't go spend a lot of money building up the island and then it just get wiped out.
Right.
So our GDP has been hurt, basically by that because we try so hard. And most developing countries are experiencing this, not only the Bahamas, A lot of the developing countries right here in the Caribbean are experiencing this because we all lie within the same tropical zone. We all
Right.
with hurricane path. Fortunately, we only experience hurricanes. Some others experience earthquakes,
Very quick.
and stuff. We had small tornadoes, but not like those would tear through the Midwest and the United States and other parts.
Or
But
even Florida.
right, even in Florida. So it's just being prepared at the end of the day. And with those elements, those protection, those barriers in place, available, ready to use, we can protect the new buildings. There's a clinic about to go up in Coconut Grove area. That's right in Big Pond. We know that's a flood flowing area. We
Yep.
can up a few feet, right? They can build it up a few feet, but we know it's going to flood in that area.
And that's what the name, Big Pond.
So obviously that area is going to flood again soon. So they have to be careful of where they, how they construct the building. Obviously, during a hurricane, can it be in use?
Right. When people can get to it, yeah. And you need some.
How long can it be? Or even after a flooding, it doesn't a hurricane. How long would it be before it can be in use again? Well, we have to wait, for the waters to subside, which has been doing a better job. But it's, still a lot more rain to come.
Yeah. But all of that, it's got to go into the calculation. That's what people like me as engineers is do, or used to do. So.
You engineering.
Yeah.
They say you're engineering the show right now, which is tremendous.
Yeah. So that's a different way of applying it. Yeah. So that's good. But thank you for that. So I got this solid question here for you. Because, we just celebrate 50 plus 2 years of independence. And a lot of the young people seem to think that nothing has changed in the Bahamas and so forth. But why is this kind of innovation or leadership so critical in our nation?
Flooding has been something that has plagued our country before I was born. My first solid hurricane that I remember would be Hurricane Andrew. I still was very young then, but I can remember seeing that wind blow outside. I can remember seeing not cars, but the debris flying past. I can remember hearing our roof, our windows feel like they're going to explode. And so as a young boy, I know that it's something that plagued us from then. And then a few years ago, I see what Dorian did still to this day. And so it's intensifying. Like I said, the disasters are intensifying. We're having wildfires now, spread more than ever that I've seen.
Right.
So disasters is not just only flooding, but there are many different ways of disasters. And particularly with this one and with the innovation that we have, putting this in place, government now putting this in place to show the region that they're taking the next steps to try and build a resilient country, try and build a resilient Bahamas. This is just the first step. It's going to take a lot more. It's going to take funding. It's going to take support. It's going to take efforts from different CARICOM countries, the European Union, whoever it is who's going to support the efforts, because it's not just in the Bahamas where we're experiencing this. This is a global thing, obviously, with climate change, and we have to do what we have to do as a country. And I think with this innovation, the leadership, I think it would be a great start to start taking those steps forward and trying to become a resilient Bahamas.
Yeah, and that's the key right there, addressing the things. And we saw, if we go and read the speech that Canto, the Prime Minister, gave, and a couple of others for the year, you will see we are putting ourselves in a strong position against some challenges that we would sometimes just normally brush off or skate around and the like, but we're facing them head on. And so hopefully we could continue to do that and do that straight from the beginning to the end to see things materialize as we move from strength to strength and so forth. And so if I look at this and wonder why you disappeared again, you shouldn't be disappearing with that. So tell me, because I asked you a lot of questions, and you might be tired of answering the questions or not, but let us know that what is it that we might have not covered, or something that we covered but we just brushed over and that you wanted to elaborate on. Give us some things that you wish to say to the public that we might not have covered.
I think this was a wonderful show. I think you have a wonderful podcast here, Mr. Happy.
Thank you.
Excited on it, excited to share with
Nah, I'm paying for that either.
excited to share what Speedy Flood Solutions has to offer in terms of disaster risk management. And we shared a lot of things. We shared a lot of topics. Speedy Flood Solutions is here to help. We do have systems. We do have apparatus. We do have tools in place on and ready to assist if need be. I will be going around the communities, assisting persons, just from my standpoint, from a Speedy Flood Solution standpoint. Right. So we can, if you have any water mitigation needs, you need to move some water, mitigate some water, give us a call, and we'll come and assist you best we can. Those subdivisions or any private communities who need water mitigation, we can assist there as well. And we're just here to assist all those in need, all those who are at risk of flood mitigation, and effectively bring some solution to your needs.
Cool. No, and we forgot to put your contacts up. So what's the contact, the telephone contact for them?
Okay, so yes, they can reach me at our Nassau line is 242-445-3763. You want to?
That's one digit short. 242-445-76.
3763.
Oh, 3763. 7.
Yes, or you can email. We can make an assessment. We can come to your property, visit you, see what you may want to have as a flood barrier. Info. Speedy Flood Solutions. SPEEDY. Speedy Flood Solutions.com.
I think that right. Let's see.
Can't see it that good on this.
Speedy Flood Solutions. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Cool. And you get the 2 people there. And so you got another one giving you a shout out. I might have missed this from earlier. Taurine rules saying that they're watching. You know when they're watching, you know what that means. Next thing is they come and ask you for a solution, and they gotta be one little they need slow 20 in there or whatever kind of thing. So I'm sure y'all will wake up whatever you need to wake up. But thanks for watching us, and do come back again and watch more and give us your comments, because that's what we're doing the show for, right? We want to raise the level of conversations that we're having in the country, so that we could work on improving our situation individually and as a nation, and so forth. Awesome.
Yeah. And they have been doing things. Disaster risk has been bringing a lot more awareness to citizens, persons, preparing for hurricanes, obviously, what you should have, what sort of supplies you should have readily available, and what sort of areas are safe, what communities need to look out for search. They've been bringing some data and information forward to help the citizens. But it's going to be a collective effort. We all got to work together in order to get it done and making it happen.
Yeah, so this question from Lockhart is saying, any chance of government aiding areas and with this protection? And I think when we were talking offline, you said that there was some movement, but you could comment on that if you want. Yeah.
The government are exploring. The government is exploring different ways. They are considering many different mitigation efforts. Obviously, like I said, be one particular thing that would bring a solution to everything. And so I'm just here to let them know that we have these tools ready and available. We have these protective barriers that they can use, and we would hope that they would use them at some point to protect whichever community need be.
Yeah. So, Mr. Butler, I can say it, Mr. Lockhart, but I can say it. You know, they talk about the song, the government them and the MP, Mr. MP them. Yeah. You all pick them up, let them know you saw this, and you want them to explore and put some pressure on them to speed it up. Whatever happened, whether it materialize or not, at least they do their full assessment as to how they could use it. So whenever time come, they could actually just pull the reports off the shelf and say, well, this is the solution we need for this issue, versus having to then go looking for a solution, and then you already have this on the table. Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Harbor available and open, the roads open, so our officers can get to and from the Defense Force base. That's very important.
Yeah. Well, thank you kindly. We loved having you. You answered a lot of questions. You put a lot of information on the table for me to even go do some more research and so forth. And so hopefully we will get there and move this country from strength to strength. And the next thing you know, people are not talking about this $12 or $14 billion economy. We're talking about $100 billion economy, because we changed our attitude towards progress and advancement and protection of our people. I think it's one of the big things is once we show that we have interest in somebody else's well-being, then a lot of things change. So thank you, Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler.
Mr. Dale Happy Knowles, thank you so very much for having me on this show. You're about intentional action and thoughts, and who is going to bring a lot of awareness in whatever it is that you're presenting. And I'm just glad to be a part of it this evening. Thank you.
You're welcome. And happy independence to you. I know it done gone, but this is still a year. I say happy independence to everybody for a year.
Still celebrate. Till July. Happy independence to you as well.
Yeah. Great. Is say thank you for doing so. Thank you for asking your questions. Please share, subscribe, ask and let people know about it, because it's going to help our economy grow. Our economy grows when we put more air into the balloon. As long as we just moving the balloon air around, there's no growth. So we look forward to that, and so forth, and such. So till next week, when we have another provocative and enlightening conversation on the table under the tree, we'd ask you to join us and think about these things and share it, like I mentioned, with all your friends, and particularly young people, so that they could see that they could be inspired to do things different and still make a gainful employment. So till then, see ya.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative 242.